With Jane Foster Thor appearing in the Thor Love and Thunder trailer, you know we're going to be talking about her. I'm Adam Andrews, and today on Top 10 Nerd, we are going to talk about the top 10 facts you need to know about Jane Foster, Thor, Goddess of Thunder. Number 10. Secret identity. First things first. When Jane Foster Thor first showed up on the scene, and for pretty much most of her story, a lot of people did not know that this was Jane Foster. The identity of the new female Thor was a mystery for most of the comic characters, and even for the fans. Rumors were around everywhere. Some thought it was Thor's mother, Freya. Some thought it could have been Enchantress. No one really knew, and it only made the situation more confusing when Thor and Jane Foster would appear at the same time as separate entities. But that was just the magic of Mjolnir. The whole thing wasn't a secret for too long, but it was a secret and it was fun while it lasted. Number 9. Cancer. A big part of this version of Thor is the fact that Jane Foster is on a ticking clock. In the comics, Jane has severe breast cancer that is killing her. While she is on chemotherapy treatment, the problem comes with the fact that every time she wields Mjolnir and becomes Thor, her body is purged of the chemo, effectively meaning being Thor is ending her faster. Odinson has offered to use Asgardian magic to help her, but she refuses. This whole side to her character gives her a whole different level of complexity and humanity that the original Odinson Thor never possessed, as well as giving the mighty Thor storyline a sense of urgency and finality. Number 8. Odinson. For all the people who are wondering what in the name of Helheim happened to Dude Thor, don't worry. The classic old Thor Odinson is still around, only after something was said to him by Nick Fury in Original Sin, he is now unworthy of lifting Mjolnir. Instead, he has the celestial defeating battle axe Jarnbjorn, his original weapon before Mjolnir, and he's also accompanied by a large mystical Asgardian goat named Toothnasher that can travel between the 10 realms. He plays a large part in the mighty Thor storyline and is a huge help and ally to Jane, even if he is depowered without Mjolnir, and even if their relationship has always been kinda on again, off again. Hold mortal, Odin has informed me of your YouTube and its magical algorithm. I just wanted to give you the warm gratitude of Asgard on behalf of the mortals working at Top 10 Nerd for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Your wondrous support enables them to continue to create videos. Alright, onward to the next point. Number 7. Civil War. The introduction of Jane Foster Thor caused a pretty big divide in the Thor fanbase. There were a lot of people who hated it, and a lot of people who absolutely loved it. I think it's absolutely awesome. It's fresh, it's new, and she looks absolutely badass. I also love the classic Thor Odinson as well, but Thor was a frog at one point, so what's wrong with him being a woman? The writer of Mighty Thor knew fans had this kind of divide. So in almost a parody of this, the citizens of Asgard are also in a heated debate about this new Thor. Half believe her to be a thief and that she should not be in possession of the hammer. This includes people like Karl Borson and Odin, and the other half are in support of her. People like Freya and Sif and the Warriors 3. Number 6. Dr. Foster. One thing the MCU did to change the character of Jane Foster had to do with her profession. In the MCU, Jane Foster is an astrophysicist, and she studies extraterrestrial phenomena. In the comic books, Jane is a medical doctor in the ER. When she was first introduced back in the day, she was a nurse who worked alongside Dr. Donald Blake, who was the alter ego of Thor Odinson in the beginning. And that's how their romantic relationship came to be. No one ever told them not to date your coworkers, huh? Number 5. God of Gods. The name Thor has been established in Mighty Thor as a title more so than a name. And to prove that point, our girl Jane has some incredible feats when she is wielding the hammer. One of the points I want to draw your attention to is when Jane Thor is captured by the Shi'ar Empire and taken to their gods Shara and Kithri and offered a challenge of the gods. The challenge offered by Shara and Kithri is to see which god receives the most prayers when the mortals are in life or not so life situations. They unleash a massive tidal wave on the people of their own planet and see how many prayers they get. Jane uses her abilities to save the people and by extension received tons of prayers. In the end, she received less points but won the challenge as she even inspired other gods to be better. Number 4. Worthy since 78. Jane Foster wasn't only worthy in Mighty Thor. Nah. Far before that, way back in 1978 in What If number 10, Jane picked up the ancient magical hammer. Things were different then, so instead of just being called Thor, she was called Thordis. As Thordis, she defeats a bunch of Earth villains like Mr. Hyde, the Radioactive Man, and King Cobra. And then she defends Asgard from both Loki and an alien invasion. It gets kind of weird from here though. She ends up giving up the hammer to Donald Blake. She's elevated to god status, and she marries Odin. Thor Odinson is paired up with Sif, which has always kind of sit well with me, but the Jane and Odin thing, I don't know, it's kind of icky to me. Number 3, sacrifice play. Oh, we talked about that impressive challenge of the god thing, right? Well, that wasn't nearly the most impressive thing. Have you ever heard of Mangog? Well, buckle up. The Mangog is the physical manifestation and sum total of the hatred of a billion beings from a race that was slaughtered by Odin. Mangog is practically unstoppable. Even Odin is terrified of him. In Mighty Thor, Mangog is unleashed by Shara and Kithri after the challenge to punish Thor and the other gods. The Mangog de-lifed Tooth Gnasher and defeated yet another version of Thor, War Thor, who was Volstagg. He then attacked Asgardia, defeating and blinding Heimdall, Freya in the Destroyer armor, and then began to pummel Odin and Thor Odinson. Then Jane shows up. She can't defeat him with just force, so she throws him into the sun, which he somehow bounces back from the first time, and then she wraps him in the chains meant for Fenrir the Wolf, attaches it to the hammer Mjolnir, and threw that into the sun, which ended Mangog, the hammer itself, and Jane's life due to the cancer. Number 2 becomes Valkyrie. With Jane succumbing to her cancer, Thor, Odinson, and Odin revived her using the god Tempest because of the sacrifice she has made to save the Asgardian people. She fought the Dark Elves in the War of the Realms story. She became the temporary ruler of Asgard in Frigga's place, and she even took up the Thor title again using the Ultimate Universe Mjolnir alongside Odinson Thor. But at the end of the storyline, the spirits of Brunhild and the fallen Valkyries appear to Jane and ask her to become the new Valkyrie, which she does. And now everyone who had an issue with her as Thor gets her as a different Asgardian hero. Let me know down below what you think of Jane as Valkyrie. I'm just glad she gets to stay as a hero. She did too much awesomeness to not get something. Number 1, Natalie Portman is dope. Last thing I want to talk about is the fact that Jane Foster is played by Academy Award winner Natalie Portman in the MCU. And if you saw the trailer, she still is going to be Jane Foster when she's wielding what looks like a reformed Mjolnir. I am ready. Did you see her arms? The muscle, my god. The last time we saw Natalie Portman's character was in Thor the Dark World. And well, I mean, 1, the movie sucked, and 2, her character was not given any kind of development. I think with Taika Waititi, her character will be given real development, depth, and purpose. And I know a hard-hitting Academy Award-winning actor like Natalie Portman could do something with a writer-director like that. Alright, that's 10 facts about Jane Foster, Mighty Thor. Let me know what you think of her showing up in the MCU down in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Find my socials down below, and until next time, peace out, nerds.